Actually, it's the lead play in our offense.
Double tackle, take the defensive end if he's over him. If he's not, you drive down the first man to his inside. Fullback, you tell him to take the first man outside the offensive tackle. No one shows. Go right by them and field inside. If the YN has the linebacker taken out, he cuts inside. If the YN has the linebacker in, he comes all the way around. If you look at this play, what we're trying to get is a seal here and a seal here, and try to run this play in the alley.
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. You can find me on Twitter at Packers_access. If you want to email the show, you can send a message to PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. And you can text the show at 865-658-5824. I'm joined alongside a couple buddies tonight. We got Tim live in Green Bay. We got Emilio down here in Tennessee. And excited to talk a little Packers. You know, we got a lot of injury news today. We kind of had some things shake up, right? You're going to have some starters that are probably going to miss a little time, which is going to give some younger guys an opportunity to step into a starting role. And, you know, you never want to see anybody get injured. Obviously, nobody's rooting on an injury, but you got to try to find the positive in everything. And if anything right now, with the way the season's going, it's turning into a evaluation season. You know, many people looked at this as an evaluation season anyway. Now we're kind of getting thrust into it, right? So let's see what this roster's got from top to bottom, see what pieces need to be kept in place moving forward. And I'm excited to kind of dive into all that. We're also going to talk about Jordan Love and his evaluation real quick. You know, we broke down the tape yesterday with Chalk Talk, me and Emilio did, and kind of gave our opinion on Jordan Love's performance. I feel like he took a step forward from the previous week, right? And you're starting to see where that floor is. We're going to talk about the statistics, right? Where he ranks across the league and completion percentage, touchdowns, all that stuff. We might get into some advanced analytics as well. We'll also talk about the PFF side. What we want to do on this pod all the time is give you multiple angles. We want to give you the game tape, right? We want to show you, okay, here's what we're seeing on tape. We want to show you the statistics. We want to show you the PFF and the analytical side. We always want to cover all the bases. And then we'll wrap up kind of doing the same thing with the overall roster. You know, we talk about the shakeup from the injury report. We want to kind of look at it and go, okay, who's going to be stepping into those roles? Where are they grading out PFF-wise? Is it going to possibly be an improvement? You know, obviously there's going to be a little more inconsistency, I would imagine. But just to kind of give you a glimpse into the future of where the baselines are right now and where it may go in the future. But let's go around the horn real quick. Tim, how was your day, buddy?
Busy, man. On the road, off the road, back home, just in time for the pod. I'm happy.
There you go, dude. I love it.
Dude. How about you? How you doing?
Dude, I looked at the forecast for Sunday's game, and I'm doing great. They're saying 37 degrees and like a 20% chance of flurries. I'm like, come on, dude. It's Lambeau weather,
dude,
baby.
The temperature broke this afternoon already. Like, even this morning, it was like still like 60s, high 60s. Felt beautiful. Man, it's already chilly out right now. I can imagine by Sunday it's going to be mighty cold at Lambeau Field.
Definitely. They were originally saying some rain, right? And then
I
was like, yeah, what is the forecast? And I looked it up expecting rain, and it said 20% chance of flurries. Well, 21% chance of flurries, which, Emilio, you're in landscaping. You know exactly what this is about. The fact that they try to break it down to a 1% is so comical because they miss it so bad every day, don't they?
Just because the 20% is 20% of the entire area of that. It's not even, you know, you think it's 20% chance. It's not even that. So, yeah, I hear you. I took advantage of the 80 degrees down here. I blew a little bit of leaves around and cleaned up. Try to get the honey-do list knocked out when you get a little free time, you know.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's like me and Tim talk about, man. Get that done before the football starts. That way you got a little bit of credit.
That's it.
A little bit of credit. That's how you got to play it. All right, let's do this. Let's hit the chat real quick. We got a full house. We got Omar in the chat. What's up, Omar? We got United Bates, Boz, Zane Strong. We got Chris. Everybody rolling in. We got SO Turtles. What's up, man? Let's see here. He says, let's go right to this one real quick, just to kind of get this out of the way. Offensive line should be Caleb Jones, Jenkins, Tom Runyon, Nyman. Okay, so what you're suggesting there is Caleb Jones over Rasheed Walker. To the best of my knowledge, he isn't hurt. We'll hit the injury report here in a second. But what do you guys think about that, man? We're going off cuff already. Tim, when you look at that offensive line there, do you see anything you would like to see different? Me personally, I think I'm still leaning toward Rasheed Walker, but at the same time, man, probably wouldn't hurt to try Caleb Jones at left tackle. You're kind of a closet Caleb Jones fan, aren't you, Tim?
I'm out of the closet now. Come on, man. We don't have to hide. We love Caleb. We love Caleb Jones. I just haven't. I haven't seen enough of him on that side though. Most of what we've gotten to see was right tackle. So we've talked before about how it's not super easy to move from left tackle to right tackle and vice versa, but I hear the argument that, it wouldn't hurt to mix it up, but I feel like that kind of just speaks to, well, screw it. Let's just, all bets are off already. Let's just start plugging guys in, playing guys here. It's like, I'm not ready to go that far yet. But I do. I love Caleb Jones, man. I'd love to see him get snaps, but it's got to make sense. Yeah. And I really think guys just need to play to their potential. We're not, we talked about maybe asking these guys to do a little bit more than they're probably capable of. But I think if, JRJ and, guys like Josh Myers can just continue to, do what they're expected to do, like play to your actual potential and not subpar. We're seeing subpar performances, and that's where it hurts. Too much mistakes, and, that's where it gets difficult. But I'm not ready to put the offensive line in the jar and shake it up just yet. So
gotcha. Yeah. And like I said, we'll hit on the injury report, but it sounds like Myers missed today. Of course, it being unlisted or unknown, I guess, of what his injury was or the reason he missed. It could be an illness. It could be a family issue. It could be a multitude of things. But we kind of talked about that wonky, injury that he kind of had there in the game. But Emilio, what do you think about that offensive line shakeup there, man? How do you see that?
I guess Caleb Jones would be my big concern, just because we really haven't seen him play live game in an actual game setting. Jenkins would be good. Tom's good there at center. We saw that he can get to the second level if he's blocking on like that. And Nyman. The only thing I had a problem with Nyman was back in the Atlanta game when he was getting more playing time. It didn't seem like he was physical at the point of attack on like a run and stuff. He can block. He can pass block, I feel like, but it's just a little bit tough there. The only one that would hang me up would be Caleb Jones. I think Walker's getting the hang of it, and he's really a decent pass blocker off the edge when they're not trying to slip underneath him. But I think they'd be working on that.
Got it. Good stuff, man. All right, let's do this, gang. Let's kind of talk about the injuries real quick. All right. Had a lot of news break today. It seemed like my phone went absolutely bonkers when everything started rolling in. So what I'm going to do is start off with a Rob Demovsky tweet that he sent out, okay? And let me get this off of here real quick. I always forget to do that. All right, so Rob tweeted this out, and I'm going to start at the bottom and work my way to the top. You guys don't worry about, actually seeing what it's saying here. I'll read it off. Again, this screenshot on this computer, sometimes it makes it a little light, so that's probably why it's hard to read. But here we go, starting from the oldest up to the most recent. Jair Alexander was back practicing after missing Sunday at Denver. So is Devondre Campbell. So great news there. Not practicing. Eric Stokes, Darnell Savage, Josh Myers, Luke Musgrave. Okay. And then he quote tweeted that and said, also, Aaron Jones went through stretch with a helmet, but was not on the field for the start of the drills. The next tweet, he said, Matt LaFleur said, running back Aaron Jones did not practice today. He said Matt LaFleur, quote, he's just a little bit sore, which is to be expected. Hopefully we can ramp him up and get him more snaps out there. The next tweet, he says, another one going to IR for the Packers is Eric Stokes with the hamstring injury. Matt LaFleur said they believe he will be back this year. And then the final tweet, he says, all the moves the Packers made today are now official. To the injured reserve, you've got Eric Stokes and Darnell Savage. To the roster, you've got cornerback Robert Rochelle, I think is how you say it. It's a little bit bright there. It's hard to see. He came from Carolina's practice squad, and cornerback Corey Ballantyne from obviously our own practice squad there. Okay, so on top of that, we're going to jump right into the official injury report. So for the Packers, you got Jair Alexander limited, Zane Anderson full participation, Devondre Campbell limited, Elton Jenkins limited. Aaron Jones did not participate, although like Matt said, it sounds like everything's okay. He's just a little sore. Luke Musgrave did not participate, so that might be a little bit of a significant injury there. Josh Myers, now it's listed as ankle, so he did not participate. Yosh Nijman, limited participation with a knee. Christian Watson, full participation for Christian Watson. That's great to see. And then Devontae Wyatt, we were a little worried about. He got carted off the field, and he was limited today. So he actually practiced in a limited fashion today, which I think is pretty good news there. So, yeah, with that being said, Tim, we'll see if we can figure out the static, buddy. If not, don't stress it. It could be a multitude of things. It could definitely be on my end too, but what did you think about that information there? Anything stand out to you as far as the injury report? I know first thing that pops to me, obviously, Josh Myers. If he misses, you're going to see that shake up, right? And then, of course, Eric Stokes just can't catch a break. And there's many people that are kind of going at the front office, Tim. They're saying, hey, look, it sucks that you finally get Eric Stokes back. He plays special teams and gets injured on special teams. But what's your take on that entire injury report there? What sticks out to you the most?
Well, I don't see Stokes on it. So that's good, right?
Stokes is on IR now officially.
Oh, I get it. Okay.
Yeah, so they put him back on IR. Yeah, it caught me off guard too. I'm like, what? Is that a typo?
Well, I think that's why. I mean, what happened with Stokes is not. I don't want to say to be expected, but we should accept it, and that's why he was only playing special teams downs. Is because you're not going to just throw him into the water. You got to kind of get your feet wet, get your feet underneath you, and things happen. Could have happened on any other play too. But as far as the injury report overall, Devontae Wyatt is good to see him at least participating, and Josh Myers, I guess ankle they're saying, so. That could mean anything. We've had, Devondre Campbell's had an ankle here for, the better part of 2 months. So
yeah, that's a lot more weight on that ankle too, right there with Josh Myers, right?
That's right.
Really, it was so freaky. It looked like he just stepped and a little stinger up the foot and bam.
Yeah, it's strange for sure, man. There was something I wanted to hit on here in the chat that caught my attention. Let me see if I can find it again. Somebody made a comment, I believe it was about Aaron Jones. I can't find it now. Basically, they said it doesn't matter if Aaron Jones is hurt or not. Here we go. Omar said it don't matter. Matt won't get Jones the ball anyhow. Here's what's crazy. Like, I don't want to say crazy, but it's a conversation piece for sure. I've heard a lot of people saying, well, he's not healthy. That's why he's limited. That's why and I'm going, I got to be real, guys. I'm not saying that this is the correct way to look at it, but I'm not going to BS either. I'm going to tell you exactly what I think on this situation. He has been limited or out for how many weeks now? 3-4 weeks, right? Since Chicago, right? So at least 4, maybe 5 weeks now. Is the training staff that bad that they misdiagnose something to where you think he's going to be able to go, oh, he can't go again. Well, we're going to try him again. Well, he can't go again. But not that you need the extra roster spot, but my stance is if you're going to have to limit how you use him, then don't play him. Like, all you're going to do is keep tweaking things. And on top of that, your offense can't get this momentum going, right? They can't get in this groove, this rhythm. If it's, okay, the game plan like we talked about was last week, right? Not the Broncos, but the game before, that we kind of felt like, oh, crap, the game plan was geared around Aaron Jones. Well, you can't uninstall the game plan. And now you go into game day with a game plan geared around Aaron Jones, or at least a certain amount of it, and you don't even have him. I don't know, man. Am I being too critical there, Tim, like to think, like, how are we this bad at understanding exactly how bad the injury is that we don't just say, all right, let's sit him down until he's 100% and he can take on all the reps? Does that make sense?
I mean, it does. I think there's an argument for both sides. I mean, what you're saying does make a lot of sense, but you're really asking yourself, is some Aaron Jones better than no Aaron Jones? Like at the end of the day.
Point, yeah.
And difference in philosophy may say, well, we'll take him at 60 to 80% and play him limited and get what we can. And it's better than nothing. There's plenty of people that are going to say the otherwise, the other side of the coin, and there's validity on both sides of the argument. I'd love to see Jones utilized more, but I've always said that he's, we've known this since he came to Green Bay, since day one. And it's not a handle him with kid gloves kind of thing, but it is, you have to keep him under a certain microscope when it comes to his reps and how you're utilizing them. We know this. But at this stage in his career, when we need him the most and we need him as much as we can, we're not seeing it. And that's cause for concern because, in the offseason, that was the talk. This offense is going to run through Aaron Jones and, we're going to make plays, and we haven't seen it. We haven't really seen the explosive plays from this offense recently. So,
no,
I don't know. It's tough, man.
Yeah. Jeff Schultz in the chat says, a blessing the Packers aren't being broadcast in the Southwest on Sunday. I'm ready to flush the Packers from my attention span. It is the same bad things week after week. Sigh. Hey, Jeff, what's cool is you're still hanging out with us in here, buddy, and we appreciate that, man. There's I quote tweeted Matt Ramage earlier. I ought to play the video. It's hilarious. He cut a video from a pod he did. Did you guys see it?
I didn't get a chance to see it yet. No.
It was gold, man. He went on this rant about how basically Packer fans are there's a portion of Packer fans that are saying, I told you so about Jordan Love, quote unquote, not being good. And again, I'm looking at it like, guys, look, we're 6 games in. Has it been ideal? No. But do I think he is a bad quarterback? You're not going to convince me of that yet, right? There's been some bad moments. We broke it down, Emilio, game on the line, missed a couple open receivers with his reads, right? But basically, Matt Ramage, man, he went on a little mini rant. And he said, I told my wife I wasn't going to talk about this, but here I am talking about it. But I've been drinking too. And he moved on to the next topic. There it is. Classic. Matt Ramage. I love that guy. Absolutely love him. All right.
He was a blast to hang out with during training camp, man.
Oh,
yeah, shout out to Matt Ramage. I bumped into him a couple of times. Real good dude.
We need to get him back on the show, man. I just absolutely love talking ball with him. He invited me on his show a little while back, but it was at the same time, that we were going live. And I was like, God, I'd love to go on. I need a good laugh with the way this is.
Right.
But, yeah, let's see here. Let's go to Jake Shavink, and then we'll move on to the next topic. Jake always dropping that knowledge for us. He said, I wonder if we're going to see an offensive line philosophy change at all in terms of pro signing / draft picks. Seems like something where Goot, Matt LaFleur need to be on the same page. Completely agree, Jake. I came out of that game after watching that game live in Denver. My initial reaction was I didn't like the game plan, right? And I couldn't even tell you why I felt like that. Of course, I go back and watch the tape. I've now watched it 4 times through. Me and Emilio went through and did the breakdown, and I came away after doing Chalk Talk going, I didn't have a problem with play calling. There was a couple things like we talked about, Emilio, obviously the throw the ball 40 yards across the field laterally to gain 8 yards. Don't like that. Didn't like the Tay Wicks reverse. And I know some people's arguments are, well, if it had worked, you'd have liked it. That's not the point. Like, of course, we're not going to be complaining if they gain 20 yards on a reverse. The point is you put yourself in a position to stall a drive, taking that extra risk, right? And I understand you're trying to hit an explosive, but trying to hit an explosive with lateral yardage, it's just too much of a risk. And of course, we've seen the throwback there to Christian Watson on the sideline where you're running the play action boot. We pointed out, like Emilio did a great job saying, man, why not have the H-back leak there to give them at least a little safety valve if you need it. And that would have been a nice little game. But outside of that stuff, as far as the passing concepts, you've seen a lot of slot cross. You've seen several things. I didn't like the all go on the last drive, but hey, it worked out dumping it to A.J. Dillon. If anything, it cleared everything out for Dillon. And hey, tip your cap to A.J. Dillon. I feel like he had a good game, and that's the type of A.J. Dillon we're wanting to see moving forward for sure. But again, the run blocking, you've seen a minimal amount of sifts. You've seen a minimal amount of double pulling guards, that type of thing. So to go back to Jake Shavink's comment there, yeah, man, I completely agree with them needing to be on the same page, especially with the offensive line, And the problem is when Matt LaFleur took over, you ran a lot of zone, right? Outside, inside zone. And then in 2020, the defenses were adjusting with those wide edges, so they started running a lot of duo, and then they started mixing in power and leaning heavy on the RPO game, and they were really playing games with the defense. Granted, you had a quarterback that had world-class release as far as quickness in your release, and then in 2021, same type of thing. You were full-blown RPO West Coast offense, and then in 2022, everything kind of caught up to you, right? And what you have left now is a multitude of running schemes, which your offensive linemen weren't capable of performing. And like Mike Wallace pointed out so many times that you know, it's just you're asking the offensive line to do things they can't do. And he always reiterates a great offensive line can do anything, but this isn't a great. He didn't say this isn't a great offensive line, but it's kind of like he said it without saying it. Like, if you got a great offensive line, they can do anything, but this isn't working. I'm like, got it, Mike. All right, that's the proper way of saying that. So, yeah, Jake, I completely agree, man. I think there is going to be a little bit of a shakeup. I hope Goody isn't one of those GMs where he's just so stubborn he's not willing to adjust a little bit. And again, let's back off the athletic score a little bit and focus on a little more of the tape. I think that would help too. So let's go ahead.
Real quick before we go.
Yeah, man, go ahead.
Pull that up real fast. Looking at it now, Eric and Savage off. We have got to be close to what is it, 90 million now? That probably isn't on the field.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even we were probably close. I mean, if you include Aaron Jones, we'd be north of $100 million. That's not on the field right now, not playing for us. Out of what we get, 200 and change. Mm-hmm. So we're playing with one hand tied behind our back right now that we don't see every Sunday. It's a lot of hidden yardage, but hidden money, I guess, would be the more close term.
Yeah, and you've really got to take into consideration. You got to put that into the pot, right? When you're cooking up this stew of true evaluation. Like, right. I think there was a number. It was 2-3 weeks ago, Tim, where it was like we're playing with 39% of our salary cap right now. Like, mm-hmm. I mean, come on, dude. And I've been critical of Matt LaFleur, not helping himself out, right? And I think that's the even more frustrating parts. Like, Matt, like you can't expect all these young guys to do everything, right? We've got to tone it back. And he's probably, sitting in his office thinking totally the opposite, and that's why he's a head coach, and I'm just a dumb redneck on a podcast.
Trying
to get anything to work. But all right, let's do this. Let's move on to Jordan Love talk. But before we do, I want to hit on a quick video. Emilio brought this to my attention. Jaden Reed in the locker room, and he actually talked about the skill positions pulling together. And, Emilio kind of alluded to this, and Tim, you may have too there a couple weeks ago. Like, you need to get these guys together, get on the same page. Let's listen to what Jaden Reed had to say.
Yes, we're all together. We met as a group yesterday or 2 days ago. We met as a group to say what we see on the film, and we all watched it together, and we watched it, and everybody is looking at it from the same eyes. So I think that was really good that we did that this week, and that's just going to help us tremendously going out there on Sunday competing as a group.
Was that the offense? Was it the
receivers? It was the Jordan and the receivers and the tight ends, all the skill groups, just seeing what we see in the secondary, just looking at that kind of stuff.
So there's good collaboration between you and the offense.
No doubt.
Trying to figure this thing out.
Yes, no doubt. I think we're all working together, trying to figure out what we need to do to be better. So.
All right. So I know you guys got excited about that. Look at Emilio up there. Well, let's start with Tim here, because I know you're excited about Emilio. Tim, what do you think about that, man? Jordan getting the guys together and go, hey, look, let's get in the film room. Let's get a little extra tape, right?
Let's go. The only thing I'm missing was, get that offensive line group in there too. That's just like get them all in there. We all need to be watching it. But you know what it is it's guys that are, holding themselves accountable. They've been doing it since camp started. I saw it. We're struggling right now. Football teams struggle. So you have to band together. You have to be a cohesive unit as an offense, even if you have other guys that are, being asked to step up, any moment. That's how this game is. I can't wait to see, the depth of this roster, because it's coming, guys. It's going to be a long season. We have no bye week. So, formulating a plan with your skill group and your quarterback is great. And if we can get this offensive line to start playing a little bit better as a unit too, I think this offense can be deadly. I think they can put up 30, 40 points a game. I really do. We haven't seen it, but I believe they're capable of it. That's my thoughts on the matter. But yeah, seeing Jayden Reed, talking about that is just makes you feel good. You need some positivity right now as a Packer fan.
Absolutely. Emilio, let's hear the excitement, dude. I know you're fired up about that.
About time. Like I said yesterday, I need somebody to call a Remember the Titans. Everybody get in the gym, turn the lights down.
Take them to Gettysburg, man. Let's go.
Yeah. and at least they did it in the film room too, because that's the biggest thing. Jordan Love's seeing one thing from his perspective. The receivers are seeing a defensive guy right in front of them. They break on the route. What are they looking for? When does he want their head around? All that little bit of timing is things that they can practice, but they're not going to get that actual timing down in a game until they run it in a game. So even if it's the first time they run the play in the game, first time ever running it, these are the little things that they're learning on. I wish it came a couple weeks ago. We could have worked on that all, break sort of thing. But hey, they are professionals. They do not want this taste in their mouth. How much do you hate losing in, a game of Uno or blackjack or something like? Imagine that every Sunday and just getting punched in the face every time. You don't want that, okay? So I'm ecstatic that the team is coming together. I love that he pulled all the skill players, like Tim said. Maybe bring the O-line in here and there. But besides that, it's everything that I think the team, a young team like this, needs something to rally behind and kind of build off of. And I think that's a great platform for them to start from.
Definitely. And, we're 6 weeks in, right? 6 games in. Let's take a look at where the offense ranks before we talk about Jordan Love, okay? Because I personally feel like the offense is one thing that you can kind of attach to the quarterback's ability to pre-snap read, in my opinion, is the success of the offense. You're not going to have a successful offense with a quarterback who has a bad pre-snap reading ability. And you'll notice we showed it several times on Chalk Talk. You see Jordan Cannon, right? Cannon to plays. He's got command. You see him running the RPO actions. So there's another pre-snap read determination. Okay, here's where I'm going with the ball if everything reads out the way I want it to read. So when we look at it in points per play, you guys know 2 statistics I'm very fond of, both on offensive and defensive side of the ball, is points per play and yards per play. Okay, so in points per play in the National Football League this year, okay, Green Bay is at .372. That makes them the 11th highest offense in the National Football League. Now, some of you guys are going, Clayton, we just had a horrible offensive performance against a bad defense. I completely agree. But remember the old caveat, any given Sunday, right? When you look at that statistic, that's another thing too. Like when you look at that statistic of being 11th in points per play, in the last 3 games, they're only .292. So again, right now, overall in the season, .372. Over the last 3 games, .292. So it's taken that into consideration. You can see it was significantly lower the previous 3 games. So it's just something to keep an eye on. Again, I'm not completely sold on where they're at, right? But take this into consideration too. In 2022, Green Bay's points per play were .352. This year, they're .372. Granted, we played a weak schedule up to this point. I think we would all agree with that. The Saints were probably the best defense we played so far. But all that's information we need to take into consideration. And if you take 2022's points per play number and put it into this year, that would make them 16th, which is the slot where Minnesota is right now. So it comparatively speaking, in a vacuum, right, of course, we've increased from 16th best to 11th best this year in points per play. I'm going to try to pull this up real quick here too and see exactly where yards per play were. Go ahead, though.
The points per play, like we were talking about in Chalk Talk last night and we've talked about previously, this offense is not on the field a lot. We had 4 minutes of possession, 3 minutes into the second quarter, it felt like. So they're not on the field a lot. So points per play, they're efficient when they're on the field. It's when we go 3 and out and we're gone. Okay, that's another 6, 7 plays, 8, 9 plays that other offenses, 15 play drives that they're getting that we're not, especially in the first half. I mean, if you look at points per play in the first half, we're probably 31st or 32nd. We've, one touchdown, a couple field goals. It's not good. But in the second, we're tearing it up. But again, it's offensive plays. It's not like the entire, points per game sort of thing.
Right. And when you look at yards per play, Tim, you see kind of the rest of the story. Yards per play were 21st at 5 yards per play. Okay. So take that into consideration compared to last year, the Green Bay was 5.5. Okay. Which this year would put them in the 11th spot, ironically. So you kind of see those two statistics somewhat staggered, which would probably put you in the ballpark, if I had to guess, of overall around the 15th best offense in the league when you take both of those metrics into consideration. But anything you want to say on that, Tim? Anything stick out to you there, man?
Kind of like, Andy Herman touched on that, the yards per play. Even when we got ideal hat count and a good look, ideal play call, ideal situation, we're still getting the bare minimum of yardage. Something is just off. I don't know what it is. But yeah, when you look at the numbers, it is interesting because the way we feel as fans looking at the record, we wouldn't believe we're the 11th to 15th ranked range offense right now, whether yards per play or points per play.
Yeah, so. Right. And Mike Hebring always brings it back to the defense. Points per play goes up when your snaps are low because the offense can't stay on the field and the defense is allowing long, drained, I guess talking about drives. It's a valid point for sure, Mike, but I didn't read your first part. I was going to jump on you, man. I was going to hold up, man. What about those 3 and outs, big dog? But you mentioned it in there, right? They can't stay on there for those long drives. And yeah, the defense, that's what it's designed to do. The only alternative to that is give up a big play touchdown and get off the field quick. Right? Which would you rather have? Me personally, I would rather have a longer sustained drive and give up a field goal than a short sustained drive and them score a touchdown. And I think you would agree with that. But I never understand that argument when people get upset that they're long drives. Yes, we want the defense to make them go 3 and out, but you're not going to do that with backup linebacker, third string, fourth string cornerbacks. Right now we're down to the third string safety. We're also down to a third string defensive tackle.
But they have though. What's crazy is they have bend but not broke. Like that. Yep. It's crazy holding teams to field goals, despite a long sustained drive by the offense, man, and to just they tend to tighten up as they get near once you're in the red zone. Yep. That's always been a trademark of Joe Barry defenses. They tend to tighten up when their back's against that goal line. And, I don't know how good that is, but.
Right. And, the other thing too is the goal is at the end of the game to give your team a chance to win, both offensively and defensively. What we've seen all year long is the defense get a stop toward the end of the game and give the offense a chance with the ball in their hand, less than 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 3 minutes in the game, go down, score, and win the ball game, right? There's not much more you can ask a defense, especially one that's that banged up, to do. Now, I understand the offense is very inexperienced. That's a valid argument too. But I think what you're seeing, man, is just is this team that's young and developing and kind of trying to find their footing. Now, it could be a blessing that we played a soft schedule early, right? You kind of get some of those lumps out of the way, figure out what's working, what we're good at, what we're not, and maybe they can buckle down here in the second half, which, if I remember correctly, was kind of a staple for Matt LaFleur's offenses, their teams, It seems like they do kind of put a little run together. Now, granted, that was with a Hall of Fame quarterback, but we'll see. All right, let's talk about Jordan Love specifically here. Let's talk about first the PFF passing grades, okay? We're going to start there. Then we're going to go to SIS and talk about completion percentage and things like that. So when you look at the quarterbacks, an offensive grade, okay, keep in mind Jordan Love, his rushing grade, his running grade is a 76.6, okay? And to put that into perspective, that makes him the 10th best rushing quarterback when running the ball, right? So that's going to skew this offensive grade a little bit. But offensively, even with that, he's 26 in the entire National Football League at a 64.1. I'm going to list off some of the I'm going to list off the 5 quarterbacks that are ahead of him here, okay? Josh Dobbs, Daniel Jones, Joe Burrow, which Joe Burrow's having a bad year, Tyson Bagent. The backup quarterback for the Chicago Bears is grading out higher than Jordan Love right now. Granted, it was one game, right? Jimmy Garoppolo, Tyrod Taylor, obviously Brock Purdy, Ryan Tannehill, Baker Mayfield, C.J. Stroud, rookie, Justin Fields, significantly higher, right? Russell Wilson, Justin Herbert, then Dak Prescott. Now you're getting into the top 10. When you go strictly passing grade, all right, let's break that down real quick. Strictly passing grade. Jordan Love comes in at 27th, okay, to 64.1. Higher than him is Jameis Winston, Tyson Bagent, Derek Carr, Deshaun Watson, Joe Burrow, Justin Fields, Brock Purdy, Baker Mayfield, Jimmy Garoppolo, C.J. Stroud, Russell Wilson, Ryan Tannehill, Tyrod Taylor, Justin Herbert. There are some, I think, starting caliber quarterbacks, but I wouldn't consider them good, right? So PFF is pretty hard on Jordan Love this year so far, okay? With that being said, how do you guys feel about that grade? Tim, I'll start with you, man. How do you feel about the Jordan Love grade there and kind of where he sits? Do you feel like that's pretty accurate to what we've seen? Do you think it's a little harsh? What do you think, man?
I think it might be skewed a little harsh, but not by much. I think it's a good indicator of the type of year he's had. Inconsistent with flashes. One throw looks perfect, then you see three that are terrible. So I don't know what to make of it. Seeing some of those names ranked higher than him, though, does kind of make your stomach gurgle a little bit. Yeah. And not just the two Chicago Bears quarterbacks, but there's a few other guys on that list too that kind of make you cringe. But I think Jay Love he's got to play his way out of this. We got to give him an opportunity to play his way through the struggles that he's had right now, because this is a team that's struggling, not just a quarterback that's struggling by himself. And I think when this offense starts to click a little bit better, I think we'll see Jay Love's numbers improve, especially when it comes to things like PFF metrics.
Yeah,
right.
Definitely. Right. Go ahead, Emilio. What do you think, bud?
And he's trying to do that now. I mean, it starts at the bottom. He pulled everyone in. All right, how are we going to get better? How do we all see this? How can we all make a step to get this team better to where we want to be? I think the grade is fair. He's had a rough season, but everyone's going to go through that. I mean, it's growing pains. He's seeing things for the first time, like I said. And honestly, a defensive coordinator planning a game against you the entire time, like he's got a week to prepare, that's a lot just to put on him, that it's all his fault sort of thing. I mean, yes, he's had some bad plays, but I think it's going to come around. I think we just need to be a little bit more patient and give him a few more games. Justin Fields got 3 seasons, so I think we can give him a few more games.
Got it. Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm of the opinion I want to see Jordan start the rest of the season. I want to see what we got. I want a full, hey, look, now I don't want to come away from the season going, well, maybe we didn't know. No, I want to know, right? And there's some people saying, no, he'll get all next year too. I don't necessarily agree with that if things turn for the worse. If things keep in the direction they're going right now, I could see it, right? But again, off-season evaluation is the most important position on the roster. You were willing to draft a quarterback when you had a Hall of Fame quarterback on the roster, right? To sit here and pretend like, nope, Jordan Love's the guy, we can't draft a quarterback, man. That's pretty silly, You're always looking to upgrade that position. And again, when people kind of try to understand my perspective on that, I say, okay, cool. So you're saying you wouldn't want a Patrick Mahomes? You're saying you wouldn't want a Josh Allen?
Right.
Like, come on, man. Let's be real here, right? So, all right, let's do this. Let's talk about the SIS data, okay? The big topic this year, guys, obviously completion percentage, right? So let's sort SIS by completion percentage. I got a minimum pass attempts of 100 pass attempts, okay? And you climb down here, and you're going to find Jordan Love in completion percentage right now is actually dead last, number 32 at 57.5%. Okay. Now, immediately people say, well, the receivers are dropping passes. They're not dropping as many passes as they did last year. I think they're somewhere around 10th, the last I checked. That may have changed a little bit after the last game with the Romeo Doubs drop. But as far as completion percentage as it sits, he's dead last with a minimum attempts of 100, okay? And I don't have to read off the names. You guys know that's pretty much everybody else, right? To put it into perspective, roughly 3% higher is Zach Wilson, okay? That might be all you need to know. Now, on the flip side, Matt Stafford's at 59.8%, right? Mm-hmm. So we all agree that Matt Stafford's a good quarterback. So completion percentage isn't everything. Accuracy is. So let's talk about catchable percentage. The amount of balls or the percentage of balls thrown that were considered catchable according to SIS, okay? When you go down, Jordan Love climbs to 27th, okay? So his accuracy as far as catchable percentage is 80.9%, okay? Some of the quarterbacks ahead of him there, I will read off. You got C.J. Stroud, Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, Jimmy Garoppolo, Sam Howell in Washington, Justin Herbert, Desmond Ridder in Atlanta, Derek Carr, Joshua Dobbs. Joshua Dobbs, man, is just it's wild how he's really playing this year. Jared Goff, Geno Smith, Joe Burrow, on and on and on. So again, Jordan Love, completion percentage, dead last, minimum of 100 attempts. As far as catchable percentage, he climbs to 27th. So you're accounting for those drops. Obviously, that's catchable. On target percentage, let's see if it changes much. I can't imagine it would. 25th on target at 72.1%. What do you think, Tim, about that? As far as the accuracy, we talk about how important it is, right? It could be argued that it's the most important attribute that a quarterback can have, right? So what do you think about those numbers? Him being dead last, completion percentage, and then right around the 25, 27 spot when it comes to on target and catchable percentage.
I think it tells us what we need to know right now, that he's struggling to finish these throws. I mean, he's putting balls in catchable places for guys. Target percentage is pretty good, but he's not completing because he's out of rhythm and he's making bad reads. And what can I tell you? That's something that it's only going to come from reps. That's the only way this is going to correct itself naturally, is through progressions in a game. What we always talk about is we just want to see improvement. And, if we're going week to week here, I don't know. I don't think we're seeing a big improvement. If anything, we've kind of hit a plateau here, but that completion percentage has got to come up. And if you're not throwing behind guys, if you're, a little bit more in rhythm and on time with delivering the ball, I think that's going to start to come up. But nobody wants to be dead last, right? I mean, and there you go again with those names on that list. Now we're not even on PFF. We're looking at these numbers now, and it's like, I don't know.
Yeah. Definitely. What do you think, Emilio?
I mean, I think it's fair. He's struggled. He's had a tough go at it. But he's trying to take those steps to get those things taken care of. If we can get Musgrave not to be bumped off the line, maybe Jaden Reed hits that dig. If we can, if the receivers take 2 more steps outside before they hit the inside slant, they set up their guy different. It's literally all the little things that build up to the point of when that ball is about to hit their hands. Maybe he's throwing some to save them, like how Rodgers used to do. He's thrown a couple deep ones that are just nowhere near it. Maybe he wanted to get it out of the way. We don't know what goes through his head every single time, but there's so much more that comes to it before that catch actually happens on the field. There's so much to it, and I think that he's starting to see how the NFL works and get into that sort of rhythm. And like going into the offseason, if he does end up playing better, there's going to be so much time for him and his quarterback coach to work on and have literal game film besides just the Philly and the Chiefs game. There's going to be so much for him to see, to work on. Like they do the cut-ups. Rasul was talking one time. All they got to do is ask somebody at Packers, hey, let me get all of my third down, over 5-yard passes. What was my footwork like? What kind of plays were we running? Where am I going to go with the ball? Let me see that entire cut up for the whole year. It could be 45 minutes of 10-second plays, but he's going to sit there and study every bit of it. And that's why I love his work ethic. I love how he handles it. I love how he carries himself. That's why I want him to succeed. But those numbers are not what we're for. They're not going to cut it in the long run, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt if he's climbing up to something down the line here.
Yeah. Definitely. Now, another thing too that keeps sticking out to me, guys. I listened to a podcast where it was his personal quarterback coach, Armed and Dangerous. You can follow him on Twitter. I can't remember his real name, but that's what he goes by on Twitter. He was talking about working with Jordan, and it was an interview I think Tyler Dunn did with him. And he said, there's so many times that we're teaching him how to drop the plant foot, how to keep the plant foot down. And he said there's many times he goes to throw out platform, and we keep telling him, look, 12 can do that. 12's an alien. That's what he said in it. 12's an alien. He can do that. We can't do that, right? And that's what keeps coming to my mind. And again, now we've got actual NFL footage, right? Regular season footage of him doing this, and it's what we talked about on Chalk Talk, Emilio. That throw that he threw to Samori Toure, the timing was off, but also he tried to throw it somewhat flat-footed, right? And if he puts that thing out into the end zone, Toure may make a play on it. If he doesn't, then at least it probably falls incomplete. The safety doesn't undercut it. And with that being said, you get another down to live for. You get to live for another down. But also, like, when you see the analytics, you see the completion percentage, you see the PFF grade, you see the game tape, and you go back to stuff that, comments that the personal coach has made, it's like they've been trying to fix this for a while, not that they can't fix it. And immediately people go to Josh Allen. And, that's great and all, but Josh Allen fixed it within a year or two of being in the league, right? And Jordan Love has been in the league now this is his 4th year. And again, people go, well, he didn't get game time. And it's a valid argument. But at the same time, these are the things he's working on with NFL coaches, along with his personal coaches, right? So I'm not going to sit here and make it all sunshine and rainbows and be like, oh, no, he'll figure that out. Right now, we have no reason to believe that. Now, some of the argument is, well, look at what he's playing with. The offensive line is hot trash, right? I've heard that over and over and over. Guys, his pressure percentage, according to SIS, is 28.5%, okay? The only other quarterback in the entire league who has been pressured less than Jordan Love, according to SIS, is Tua Tagovailoa, right? Now, Tua Tagovailoa's catchable percentage is 8% higher than Jordan Love's. His completion percentage is 71.2%. His on-target percentage is 7% higher than Jordan Love. So this whole, the Jordan Love fanboys, right, the ones who go out and go, oh, well, the offensive line is playing like crap and he's not getting protected, that's not an accurate argument. Matter of fact, it's a lie. He's being protected better than virtually every other quarterback in the league. You guys have seen me on Chalk Talk the majority of the time, especially when I do it by myself. I say, watch the clock. Watch the clock from the time they snap the ball. Look at how many seconds he's got. Most of the time, he's holding the ball for 4 seconds, right? And sometimes you've got an open receiver. And again, I know some people disagree with that and say Matt LaFleur is the problem. Again, I don't see a problem in Matt LaFleur's passing game scheme. Where I see the problem with Matt LaFleur, and a lot of it got fixed this last week, it's going in the right direction, is the personnel that he's leaning on the majority of the time, and then the running game scheme, which both got adjusted in this last game. And you're kind of starting to see it there with the numbers, but pretty interesting topic. I don't know, man. I wanted to dive into that a little bit deeper and kind of say, okay, we're 6 games in. Let's see where Jordan Love sits. So I'm glad we did that for sure. Let's do this. Let's move on now to overall team evaluation. Okay. Now I'm going to try to get us out of here in an hour tonight, guys. That's the goal. So when you look at overall team evaluation,
Emilio's cracking up.
He knows it ain't going to happen, right? So when you look at the overall team, all right, remember the injury report. Start with the end in mind, right? Okay. What happened on the injury front? You've seen Josh Myers go down. There's a good chance he may miss this Sunday. Now that we know it's the ankle, there's a good chance he misses time. If that's the case, then Zach Tom will move to center, and you'll have Yosh go to right tackle, okay? I'm going to read off our offensive players, the top 10 performing offensive players on this team, okay? Zach Tom, 80.3. David Bakhtiari, 78 point. I don't mean to laugh, but it's like, man, it feels like that was 6 years ago that David Bakhtiari played for the Packers. But again, he's still a pass blocking grade of 89.9 in that Bears game. God, we missed that guy. So Zach Tom, 80.3. Bakhtiari, 78.3. Ben Sims, tight end, rookie, undrafted free agent, 72.1. right? Now, people are going, well, he hasn't played many snaps. It's a valid argument, but he's now up to 36 snaps, and he's grading at a 72.1, our highest graded tight end, okay? So he gets up above 50 and closer to 100. I'm going to start going, hey, look, don't let your ego get in the way, fellas. Start the best tight end, right? Get the best player out there. See what you got. Aaron Jones, 71.5. Romeo Dobbs, 71.3. To put that into perspective across the league, Romeo Dobbs is the 41st highest graded wide receiver, which makes him a number 2 caliber receiver is kind of the way I look at that. A.J. Dillon, 68.2. He's the 30th highest grade running back in the league. So, in my opinion, for him to be the number 2 running back and him grade out 30th, I think that's pretty decent. You know, you want to see it higher. Emmanuel Wilson now only has 19 snaps, but he comes in at 66.2. You got Jaden Reed at 66.0, Dontavian Wick 64.9, Samori Toure 64.6, Jordan Love 64.1. Like I said, he's 24th of 35 quarterbacks as far as offensive grades. Now, you get the Josh Nijman, 60.5, only 23 snaps, I guess, was in this last game or, well, throughout the course of the year so far, 60.5. You got to climb down to Josh Myers being in the 56.3 spot. Okay, so Josh is an improvement, according to PFF, over Josh Myers. So putting him at right tackle, sliding Zach Tom to center, and you've seen the running game open up in the middle. I don't know if you guys seen A.J. Dillon get sprung on that big run. That was
Right.
That was with Zach Tom getting to the next level and taking care of some bodies out there. So
how many snaps was that? It was like 4. He played.
it was only 4, and it was like bang, big run up the middle.
Instant noticeable difference, right?
I'm telling you, man. And I know people get upset when I talk about this with Josh Myers because he's a good pass blocker. You know, his pass blocking grade's a 74.6, but guys, his run blocking grade's a 47.5. Anytime the argument is steered toward, but he's really good at this, I'm going, you're trying to bend this to fit your argument now, right? We can't, in one hand, go, this running game's a mess, and then get mad when people criticize someone for being bad at run blocking, right? Like,
Right.
To me, it just shouldn't work like that. But, you know, again, fan how you want to fan. But I think we would all agree there would be an improvement there. Now, the big part, the devastating part on offense, in my opinion, is Elton Jenkins at a 54.6. I mean, that's – and you're talking about your highest paid offensive lineman that's on the field right now, right?
That's tough. That really is tough. And he was the one that made the mistake on the last drive. I mean,
He missed a block early in the game too.
Yep, it's every little bit. I'm not cutting on to Elton. I mean, I love Elton. He's a great lineman. We just want answers all the time. So that's why we're. But you know, I couldn't block a 300-pound guy coming at me.
No,
but
kidding me.
Jordan kind of wants to be able to rely on those guys a little bit more. And when things like that happen, where Elton makes a mistake and things of that nature, that's where he loses a little confidence maybe, or he gets a little more worried. Hey, you know what? Now we got a problem. If Elton's having an issue, all right, now we got a problem. But maybe Zach Tom comes down there, they link up, and we get maybe a wall right there in the front. And it's not like he's not used to Runyon, right? So he's used to Runyon, but he'll be on his right side instead of his left. So they've communicated. Ideally, don't shake it up too much. That's why I'd like to say keep Walker there on the side. And if we're going to do that, and we're worried about one over the other, Walker or Nijman, let's put the tight end to that side. If Musgrave's out, let's get Kraft over there. Let's get a chip. There's other things we can do if we're worried about edges. But if we got problems coming up the middle, that's another issue.
Tim, you ask any quarterback across the league, I've heard multiple quarterbacks say this, that you can handle edge pressure. It's not there's no pressure is ideal, right? You can handle edge pressure because you can see it, you can move around it, you can manipulate the pocket. When you get that pressure coming in the A gap, it's game over. There's nothing you can do other than scramble out into a sack, right?
And it's extremely frustrating when you're watching your center's back, you know, to the guy as that's happening.
Yeah.
And it's like
Josh is waving.
Thank you for that, Tim. We appreciate you mentioning it. It is though, man. It's tough.
And then you just watch the film and you're like, oh yeah, that guy was just completely unblocked. Wow, look at that.
That's cool. Yeah. And then you get him out on a screen pass, 2-3 weeks ago. Myers gets out there on a screen pass. There's nobody around him, and the turf monster he just falls on his face. I'm going, what? what does he do? Like, what does he do good? Yeah, and that's the other thing about the pass blocking grade. PFF, they're going to grade it as they see it. Okay, if you don't make a mistake, then you treat it as such. How many times have we seen him drop back to pass, and they're in a what we call a 4 tech, right? Where they're, or not even 4, but a 3 tech, to a couple of threes, like a 33 look there on the defensive front, and he's just kind of popping over and getting a little chip on a somebody the guard's taking care of. You got to take that into consideration too, right? And that in that lies the problem with moving Zach Tom to center, because in pass blocking situations where they're going to rush the quarterback, they can manipulate the front enough to mug the A gap and take your best offensive lineman out of the pass block by going with a wide 9 and a 4 or even a 5 tech with the defensive tackles. You know what I mean? And kind of neutralize him, as where you could have him on the edge being in on every single pass block, right? There's a lot of things like that come into play too. But yeah, Zach Tom's grade, pass blocking 74.9, run blocking 82.1. It's not even close. We don't have another offensive lineman that grades out in the 70s in run blocking other than Zach Tom. That's how bad it's been. Rasheed Walker's another one that's got a lot of people talking. Him stepping in at left tackle. Overall grade 57.1, pass blocking grade 69.7, run blocking grade 48.5. Basically the same exact issue as Josh Myers. He's decent at pass blocking, absolutely horrible at run blocking. So it's just wild that David Bakhtiari can be so good at both, man. It's such an anomaly. Let's move on to defense. Y'all cool with that?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Our boy Rashawn Gary. I've seen some trade talks in the chat there, boys, and I had to look in the other direction.
What?
Yeah, Rashawn Gary, 88.1 defensive grade. That's an elite PFF grade. Pass rush grade 89.0. Run defense 59.4. But I think we would all agree Rashawn Gary isn't on the roster to go out there and try to stuff the run, although it is important to set the edge. You've seen it. I think it was that final drive where he stopped the drive with a play on run defense where he just, Mike Wall absolutely loves him. You see it all over the tape. He's got a motor. He's got the physical traits. He's got good feet. He's got several pass rush moves now. His speed, dip, and rip is just like, good luck blocking that, dude. He's a freaking monster. So 88.1. Second is Rasul Douglas, even after the bag game there with Denver, or at least the blown coverage we've seen there on the bunch formation we broke down on Chalk Talk. But he's an 80.7. Rudy Ford 74.9. If they don't give him a 2 or 3 year contract extension, I don't know what else to say. He's been the best safety the last 2 years. Devondre Campbell, 73.9. We got a good chance of getting him back this week. That'll go a long way. Eric Wilson, 71.7 with 80 snaps. That's not a small sample size there. Corey Ballantyne, 66.5. Quay Walker, 66.4 with a coverage grade of 72.7. Obviously, his weak spot there is run defense, fitting the run scheme, which, again, the tape lined up with PFF, Emilio. We've seen it on Chalk Talk. He and McDuffie getting kind of pulled up into the wrong gaps there. Dallin Levitt, there's your boy, Mr. 90s Dance, Tim. 65.5, but only 7 snaps, of course. Devontae Wyatt, 65.1. Let's see here. TJ Slayton, 64.2. Jair Alexander, 63.5. Preston Smith, 62.3. Lucas Van Ness, 62.1. When you got to grade that close, put the rookie in, Same thing, JJ Enigbare, a 61.6 overall PFF grade. Now, you had a good grade that last game. He graded out, in the 80s, but of course it was only like 8 snaps, whatever it was. I say the last game, I believe it was actually the one before Denver, if I remember. It might have been Denver. I can't remember. But, yeah, so how do you guys see that? Well, let me mention this. We got to mention the two that hurt the most is Darnell Savage, 59.1. Obviously, when that's your starting safety and one that's kind of playing in the box the majority of the time, 59.1, you wonder why you're so bad at tackling. I mean, I don't mean to pile on. I don't want to see anybody get injured. It sucks, but that's a tough grade. Kenny Clark, 56.9. He's not even grading out as a high enough to be a nickel defensive tackle right now, as far as that goes. 74th. Obviously, you'd need to be in the top 64 to qualify for a nickel defensive tackle as far as PFF is concerned. Then Keyshawn Nixon, 55.9. That's tough. Tim, what do you think, buddy? Jonathan Owens, 55.5. So keep that in mind, guys. Jonathan Owens now has, let's see here, 79 snaps. It's not a small sample size. He's grading out significantly worse than Darnell Savage. Although Anthony Johnson Jr.'s only have 4 snaps, so we can't really take that 61.1 into consideration. What would you do at safety, Tim? I mean, it's pretty much all but done. Jonathan Owens is going to take Darnell Savage's spot there when he goes on IR. What do you think about everything we just talked about? Any position you want to hit on, man?
Well, at safety, I'd like to see Jo show us what this is about, because he's an elite tackler, so I've been told. But I mean, he's been missing tackles, so it's like, I mean, you know what I mean? That's like, you know, if you're known as a good closing pitcher in baseball, right, and you don't have the stuff, then you're not going to be in the game, man, because you have one job. But not to say that he has one job, but if that's what you're bringing to the scheme or your strong suit, you know, you got to at least do that effectively. But who knows? Maybe being thrown into the fire for him is a good thing, and we'll get to see that. And being back there with Rudy might, you know, they might build some chemistry back there. We'll see. But I'd like to see Anthony Johnson Jr. get some reps out there with Rudy Ford as well, because I feel like he could be a good influence on a young player like Anthony Johnson Jr. But you know, these low grades, man, I guess we have to apply the same logic that we're applying to Jay Love, right? We have to just look at it. Hey, it's 6 games. There's still a lot of season left. You know, there's nowhere to go but up. I mean, famous last words. Hopefully it doesn't get, you know, worse than this, knock on wood. But I mean, it's tough. And, you know, we thought the secondary was going to be pretty good here. At least I did, you know, coming into this year. We had question marks at safety all throughout training camp, so that's not a surprise. But, you know, slot corner is a concern of mine too. And again, I think Keyshawn can turn it around. Some guys may need to just play their way out of these things. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely the weak spot. And with all that being said, too, you see the low PFF grades on defense. It's absolutely horrible, right? Multiple starters just underperforming. Some of, you know, that's another thing, too, Emilio. You mentioned the amount of salary cap, right, that's not even on the field. Right. You know, look at Kenny Clark and how low he's performing. I mean, if you might as well not have him on the field performing at that grade, right? I mean, and I know there's some people that would disagree and say, no, I don't agree with that grade. But even with all that being said, in yards per play, opponent yards per play, Green Bay's defense is at 5.1. They're 14th best in the league. They're actually tied for 12th best, believe it or not. Now, to put that into comparison to last year, they were at 5.8 in yards per play, which would actually put them 30th this year. So you see how they've improved to 14th and actually tied for 12th, right? And again, I'm going to jump back to scoring defense real quick for the points per play. And points per play, they're 16th this year at 0.33. Last year, they were 0.37, which would put them somewhere in the 22nd spot. So even with all those players, according to PFF, underperforming, Emilio, you still got a defense that's like borderline, you know, top 15 and trying to creep into the top 10 in yards per play, right? And that's why I'm like, and again, you see those analytics, those statistics, and you think, okay, that's just a stat. And then you watch the tape and go, Barry's calling a damn good game. Like, I don't understand, like, you know. But what do you think about those defensive grades, man?
That's what we've been begging for is, you know, the defense to step up and be elite. Think about it, though. Devondre Campbell's not out there. He hasn't been out there for a while. He was the heart and center of the, you know, until Quay took the dot. Jair wasn't playing. There is a lot of money not on the field, and then a lot of money not, you know, showing out with Ken.
Uh-oh. Emilio got zapped there for a minute. Can you hear us, Emilio?
Back. Yeah. So with Kenny, you know, struggling here and there, that's tough. But the what I like is Eric Wilson's been in there for what you said, 70 snaps, and he's at 70%. What sucks is Owen's been in there for 70 snaps and he's at 50%. I know it's, linebacker versus safety and things like that, but we just need a little bit more, completion from the defense. We need, if Owens is going to be that safety, he's going to have to play the box and he's going to have to make those tackles now that Savage is out. Just because there's really no one else unless AJJ comes out there. It's we really don't have much else back there. I know Zane's not what Zane said, he's full participant now, but he's special teams, so it's not like we got a bunch of things.
Yeah. I'll tell you what I would be doing if I was Goot at this trade deadline. I know a lot of people are talking about selling commodities, and I'm going to hold my opinion on that because, I don't want to get into this whole not that this show is even close to being big enough to create a rumor, but I don't want to entertain that stuff. I really don't. And I'm not judging anyone who likes to talk about it. That's great. We kind of mentioned Jair a couple of weeks ago, and you take a player that's making a lot of money and they're underperforming. That makes sense. The Rashawn Gary thing just blows my mind. It's like, that's an elite position. He's one of the best. He's a top 3 at the position. He's young. You want to lock him in and make him your TJ Watt. That's what you want in your defense, right? And build around that. But I don't know, man. It's one of those things that I'm not sitting here saying Joe Barry's a great defensive coordinator. You never heard me say that. All I can do is watch the tape and go, okay, what happened and why did it happen? And every time this year, that was a good call. Like, that was missed tackles. That was a blown coverage. That's on the player there, right? I was cracking up listening back to Chalk Talk, Emilio, when we broke down the play where nobody knew what their assignment was. You know what I'm talking about? Where they went kind of quick, ran to the line. Tim, it was hilarious, dude. Like, you could see them from left to right. Rasul's looking at the sideline like, what are we doing? Right? Quay looks over toward Rasul. Rasul isn't even looking at him. He's now looking back. Rasul plays zone. Rudy plays man. If I had to call out what I seen on Chalk Talk, the play call would be, I don't even know what you would call it. Rasul was in a curl zone.
Yeah.
Rudy was playing man everywhere you go.
So was McDuffie. Right?
Yeah, all the way out to the boundary. Yeah. You got Isaiah McDuffie playing Meg on a running back. What's hilarious is everybody's looking around. Jonathan Owens is the deep safety going, what are we doing? And then I think it was Savage looked at him, whoever it was looked at him and went, what are we doing? And Isaiah McDuffie, he's like, I know what's going on right now, and I'm not even acknowledging it. I'm just going to cover this guy.
Right.
It was a circus, bro. And again, what happened was they came out in an empty. It's obvious they had a check, but the check, you couldn't communicate it in time, which is exactly what we said on Chalk Talk 2 weeks ago. People pretending like you can just, like Emilio said, hit square, then the left bumper, and all right, now you're in cover 2. It doesn't work like that. And you can see them trying to get out. It's like, in that situation, stick with the original call. And I know people don't want to hear it, but it's exactly what Joe Barry said. Try to survive the down. They've got you. It's either that or burn a timeout. It's all you can do, right? It's all you can do. And I can't imagine how many veins would pop out of Matt LaFleur's head if Quay Walker caught a timeout in that situation.
Right. You get it times. It happens. You lose the season. It happens. You got to win the game. You haven't won, but they're really are there.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's wrap this thing up. We went over. Surprise, right? So we're going to get out of here. I want to thank everybody in the chat. We've been following along with the chat, man. Let's see. So Turtles here says, is that due to a lack of communication or scheme? See, that's the thing. You've got a play call, right, for a nickel formation, or I'm pretty sure that was a nickel 2-4-5 we were in. What it tells me, the fact that Isaiah McDuffie went man coverage or Meg, it just tickles the crap out of me thinking about what that actual call would have been. Right. Him in man coverage on the boundary running back, right? What that tells me was they were in a man coverage look, right? And then when they split everything out wide, you remember the play where we played kind of a little bit of what I called a hole look with Keyshawn Nixon, where he was kind of spying Russell Wilson. Yep. If you'll remember that play, I think they ran a little bit of this throughout the course of the game where the guy who was going to be playing the whole aspect of the cover one hole, it's not a robber, it's a hole where a guy underneath drops into the mid coverage, right? And you still got a deep safety. I think they called something where they're showing a man trail approach on a crosser and then fading into the hole. I think that's what they were doing. And that was probably similar to that call. Well, when you come out and you go empty and you shift things around, what's the call going to be? I think that's why you've seen some zone, some man in that awkward look. But yeah, to answer your question, so Turtles, what it was they came out in an 11 personnel, they flexed to an empty set, and when they tried to adjust, they showed them a look that they just weren't prepared for. I mean, you can say it's scheme if you want. You could say it's lack of a communication. It's probably a little bit of both, but those type of things happen. And the only thing you can do is, hey, when they go empty every single time, this is the look we're going to, right? That's all you can do. And maybe that is the correct answer, right? So anyway, with that being said, there's you an extra 10 minutes. We're getting out of here. Tim, parting thoughts, buddy.
Go, Pack, go. I don't care if we don't win another game the rest of the year. Don't get rattled, guys. Don't get rattled. This is a process. But I'll tell you this. We damn well better beat the Vikings at Lambeau on Sunday.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say, man. Beat the Vikings. Beat the Bears, beat the Vikings. Yeah. We'll be all right. Salvage the season.
When those two teams come into town, boys.
Oh, we're going to give them some
that's the game plan right there. Whatever it takes, patch it together. Parting thoughts. What you got, man?
Like I said, I'm excited for the team. I really think we're on the right track. I think we're making steps to become a one unit and starting to get better together. And I'm excited about it. Like I said, I really am excited for the team, even though we've been punched in the mouth, 4 times. So I think that they're going to come out with a little bit of enthusiasm and energy this weekend, and I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, I agree, man. And I love the way that they're responding now. It would have been real easy. Everybody just kind of go their separate ways. I love the fact that a young quarterback in Jordan Love pulled his guys together and said, hey, look, we're going to get this right. Let's get in the film room together. And the fact that somebody like Jayden Reed, to see him respond to that, right? Yep. I think I have a lot of faith in the offense because they're kind of growing together, right? The defense worries me because your highest paid players aren't performing up to that level. So now you've got this sense of accomplishment from specific players where in the past they've been the go-to guys, right? And it almost makes me – I'm not trying to put this on them. I have no reason to believe it. I'm just saying this is what worries me about the defense. When you've got players getting paid that much money, they're underperforming and they're kind of living off what they've done in the past, there's this sense of entitlement that comes with it, right? The only thing that makes me think we don't have to worry about that with Kenny Clark is the quality person he is. You just know he's just one of those stand-up guys. I want to see him rise to the occasion. I want to see this defense rally around each other the same way the offense is right now. You heard what you're hearing on offense. Jordan Love accepting responsibility. Jayden Reed saying the quarterback pulled everybody together. Nobody's pointing fingers. We're going to get together. We're going to figure this thing out. On defense, you hear Jair saying, well, let me play offense, right? You're hearing Rasul say, yeah, they're a young offense, but they ain't that young. It don't matter. Like everything they're saying is kind of combative. You know what I mean? And the offense is like, look, dude, we're sticking together. So I have a little more faith in the offense than I do the defense. And if there's one thing that I definitely believe that Joe Barry falls short on, he's not that fiery guy. You could tell he's one of those guys who's going to lead with compassion and he wants his players to, hey, look, I care about you. And that's a good thing. That's a really good thing. But the great defenses, think of the coordinators that led them. I mean, seriously. The 85 Bears, Buddy Ryan, out there trying to fight Mike Ditka and later on in Houston punched a fellow coach, right? You got his son Rex Ryan in Baltimore constantly starting fights with other coaches and like they're very combative. Joe Barry definitely doesn't have that demeanor. But, again, when you watch the tape, though, man, scheme to me looks pretty solid. Yes, there's mistakes. There's always going to be mistakes.
Right.
Go that Twitter exchange I had today. Boy, Tim, I stirred them up, big dog. It was bad. I smacked the hornet's nest today.
I synced it.
Yeah, all those people saying that, it's ridiculous that Preston Smith got stuck in coverage. I literally went back and showed T.J. Watt intercepting. Like, hold up, how is T.J. Watt in coverage here if this never happened? I showed him the James Harrison interception return for a touchdown in the Super Bowl. I showed him the Clay Matthews interception return for the touchdown. And they immediately said, well, they're on the line and they're dropping out. T.J. Watt wasn't. They just skipped over that one. Forget that one. They immediately go to the argument that you're really trying to compare Preston Smith to T.J. Watt. Where the hell did you hear that? When did I say Preston Smith is the same caliber player as a T.J. Watt? You're missing the point. It's like the Superman gif where the joke goes over their head. It's like, what I'm saying is when teams empty out and they flex, you're going to have edge rushers get stuck in coverage and zone. One guy tried to convince me that Preston was playing man. I'm going.
Same thing could happen to Sean. The exact thing could happen to Sean. And it would look different because Rashawn's big. It looks because Preston's so huge out there. It would be the exact same thing. And if Rashawn took a pick six to the house, we'd be like, wow, Joe Barry's so smart for kicking him out on that play. That was great. That was a great design. I appreciate that. And it's like,
it's crazy, man. When it works, it's not a problem. But with that being said, though, the other thing they said was, well, what I'm saying is Preston shouldn't be standing up out there. He should be dropping out like that. And I'm going, oh, you mean like Lucas Van Ness, who got burned earlier in the game? Because that happened too. They tried it both ways. It was a look that the Raiders seen on tape and said, hey, look, when we catch them in this look, we're going to force that will into coverage, and we're going to be able to put a receiver over there on them because they like to keep the corner on the boundary, which most teams do. But anyway, there's your extra 20 minutes. I'm sorry, Tim. We're out of here, guys. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with us in the chat. We appreciate all of you. You guys are awesome. We'll be back tomorrow. If everything goes as planned, I'm going to reach out. Hopefully we can get Paul Brettel on here to spice this thing up a little bit with some actual knowledge rather than three knuckleheads talking football, right? So appreciate everybody hanging out. For those of you listening on the pod, thank you for making us a part of your day. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world, and go Pack Go.
The power sweep. Actually, it's the lead play in our offense.
Double tackle, take the defensive end if he's over him. If he's not, you drive down the first man to his inside. Pull back and tell him to take the first man outside the offensive tackle. No one goes. Go right by him and field inside. If the YN has the linebacker taken out, he cuts inside. If the YN has the linebacker in, he comes all the way around. If you look at this play, what we're trying to get is a seal here and a seal here, and try to run this play in the alley.